Southeastern Bow Hunter Podcast.
Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of Southeastern Bow Hunter Podcast. This episode is going to finally happen. I have been trying to get schedules right and everything with Chris from Camo Dust for a very long time. It seems like every single time I'm supposed to do this episode, something happens and it can't happen. So thankfully, that is no longer the case. So I'm going to run through the partners really quick. I don't want to always do a super long intro and whatnot. Before I do that, though, a little season update. Still got the big split brown 9-point that or 10-point. No, he's 9-point. That is showing up at the new property, so that's exciting. Have not been able to get on him. Got the big 8 that's also over there. A couple new bucks showed up today. You know, nothing crazy. That split brow buck is still the biggest one I have on camera. So hopefully going to be able to get onto them and maybe put one down this weekend. The lake is honestly somewhat disappointing. It's nothing but does and young bucks. I have not seen trike in 18 days at the time of recording this. So anybody listening, if you hunt in the area near me and you killed trike, please let me know because I just, I'm tempted to post on Facebook. And if all of you that listen are in the same groups as me and you see me post a picture of him asking where he is or if anyone's killed him, yeah, I'm at that point now. So it's kind of how season's been. I'm expecting a lot of movement this weekend because there will be an even colder front coming through, especially with this rain that we've had. I know that there's some deer that have definitely been moving. I've seen a lot of movement today, and Thor actually killed a doe today at a state park hunt, so that's awesome. So everybody congratulate him. All right, cool. So that's kind of the small season update that's been going on. Nothing wild. A lot of kind of a deer depression right now, but it is what it is. We'll get out of it. So all right, partners. So we got Working Class Bow Hunter. Obviously, I'm wearing the hat. I'm wearing one of the shirts, one of the brand new shirts actually. If you want to get something like that, go to workingclassbowhunter.com and check out all of the new merch and use the code SEBH15 to save 15%. Next up is going to be Boutique. Obviously, best arrow wraps I've seen in the game. Just go to boutiquellc.com. Go support Michael Stonebreakers. Awesome business with an awesome product. Osteo Gear. Obviously, that's the camo that I trust and honestly have been loving it since I've started using it. Use the code SEBH at osteogear.com to get 15% off site-wide. Next up, Summit Tree Stands. I talked with Jake from Summit the other day, gave some thoughts on potentially a new tree stand idea, some little tweaks and changes to make to some of the stuff that is more centered towards bow hunters. So we'll see how that goes. Don't know if he's going to be coming back on the podcast. He told me that there's not really anything I don't want to say podcast worthy, but there's really not much going on for 2025 with Summit. I think they're really pushing the new Dual Threat Pro SD, which I love. That stand has been performing flawlessly for me. So if you want to try Summit, they have hang-ons, climbers, everything you would need to get in a tree. Use the code SEBH15 to save 15%, and that is site-wide on everything. Next up is going to be Scout Tech. Still waiting on that new Scout Tech camera to drop. It's going to be a minute, but Ryan's doing good. He's had a really good season, and Scout Tech is just an amazing company that I think all of you guys should try. So go check them out. Ace Hardware and Social Circle, Bergie Bowsmith. Both of those are really, really good avenues to go if you want to get your bow worked on. Ace carries pretty much everything. They've got all the new bows that have dropped recently. They got the new Hoyts, the new Lifts. The new Matthews. I know they're going to have the new Primes. I know they're going to get the new Bowtech. So be on the lookout for that. If you're in this area or you want to come out there, go support them. And then Bergie, obviously Bergie's my boy. I do plan on sending my bow, whether it's the bear or something else, to him after this deer season to get tuned, new strings, all that stuff. And so he doesn't only work on bows though. If you go to bergiebowsmith.com, you can check out all the stuff that he is now a dealer for and use the code SEBH10 to save 10%. VPA, I mean, I really don't have to explain what they are. They are an American-made broadhead company, all fixed I believe all single piece except for the Omega with bleeders, which those bleeders come out, but it's such a sturdy broadhead, man. There is no way you're going to break that thing. And if you do, they have a lifetime warranty that you can literally send Ryan or Jeff an email or a text, and they will send you a new broadhead, potentially even a new pack. So that's just a little insider info for you. If you go to vparchery.com and you see stuff that you like, use the code SEBH10 to save 10%. Obviously, Dialed Archery. If you can see in the background, you get to see my Arxos in mossy oak with the orange void dial. But they do now have the Dialed Archery Proof, which is basically the Arxos but better. Very excited to be using that site. Hopefully, sometime next year. Just amazing made product, American made product, and just really good dudes behind that brand. So go help support them. Go to dialedarchery.com and look at all the new stuff they've got. Obviously, this episode is about Camo Dust, so I'm going to jump over the Camo Dust portion because we are going to talk about what Camo Dust is for those who haven't listened to the first episode. So next up is going to be Typical Sportsman, my buddy Dylan Ray. Really making a name for himself, man. He's got his own website now where he sells a bunch of different types of Typical Sportsman merchandise. You can use the code typical20 to save 20% over there. Just go to typicalsportsman.com. And last but not least, Full Force Hunting Products. Covers a lot of the stuff that we use in the woods every single year. Mineral, attractants, scent ropes, and stuff like that. Like really good products. I really think you guys should give them a shot. And they are based out of Michigan. So for those who believe in the Ron Polo buck, there you go. All right, so that's all the partners. As I do this every single time, I don't know what it is about today with this weather, or just the way deer season's kind of been going. I've been in a rut, man. I really have. Just kind of struggling to get through. Things have gotten better, but it's just for some reason I go out and hunt and I don't get the feeling like I usually do that, oh, this deer could show up, right? And I don't know what that's about. I don't know if it's because it's the rut. I personally hate the rut, all right? I don't like it. I like being able to pattern deer. I like being able to go out there and think, okay, he was here yesterday. He should show up today. And I know that's kind of, some people will listen to that and be like, oh, he's spoiled. Look, man, that's just the way that I came up doing it. And, I like to go in the woods confident that I'm going to see what I'm after. And even if I don't, at least I went in there thinking that I did. So, or thinking I was going to. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm in a weird place right now. But, I bring all that up because the one thing that keeps me going, keeps me pushing is Jesus Christ. If you don't know anything about him, or maybe you've had a bad experience or whatever the situation is, I really think that if you haven't given a thought to whether or not you follow him, I think you should. If I was dealing with what I'm dealing with right now, just in general, and didn't have Jesus, I would be totally lost. I would be in a very dark place. So, he, one of my favorite scriptures is, I can do all things in Christ who strengthens me. And that right now is running through my head. That is something that I have honestly been thinking about every single day. It's just, I feel like it covers everything. Seriously, there's nothing you can do or nothing you can't do with Jesus behind you. Like, there's no limit to it. So just got to keep trucking, y'all. Put your faith in him, and I promise you, at the end of it, you will be a better person. Your life will be better, and you'll realize why God put you through those struggles, whatever they were. So just had to drop that a little bit. Yeah, Camo Dust is a great product. I will give my opinion real quick before we get into it with Chris. A lot of the people that listen to this are going to think, oh, you can't beat a deer's nose. It's kind of true and it's kind of not. I have been using Camo Dust this entire season, and I've gotten winded one time, and it was probably because I was using a little bit, or I didn't use as much as I normally do, and it was just a really weird wind. It had rained, just really crazy kind of weather day. But other than that, man, I've literally had my wind blowing directly at the deer, and I've checked, like with the wind puffer, I've checked it. Dude, it blew right to them, and they never smelled me. I've had deer under my stand, directly under my stand, and never smelled me. I've had deer up on ridges and never smelled me. Camo Dust is an amazing product. very happy we'll be able to get Chris on here to talk about it. So enough of me just blabbing on. Let's get into it with Chris from Camo Dust. After a year, which it shouldn't have taken this long, and after multiple times of trying to get Chris on the podcast and God just not wanting me to do it that day, we finally got him back on. We got my boy Chris from Camo Dust. In my opinion, the best scent control product on the market. It's the only one I've ever used that actually works. And I've had enough experience this season to prove that. So before we dive into all that, Chris, what's been going on, man? It's been an extremely long time. What's new with you? What's new with Camo Dust? Like, what's been going on?
I was still making the dust and still putting it out there. Drop a I probably aren't I'm probably not going to be the first one to say it, but our boy Clifton Denny, word on the street is he's knocked down a 150 in Kansas. So
Nice.
I got the phone call about an hour ago. So
Hell yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
right
I saw
before
his
dark.
post on, I think it was Instagram, and he was like, there's nothing like, or no, it's either Instagram or Facebook, but it was like, there's nothing like watching antlers fall down a hill in Kansas. I'm like,
Oh, he just posted that today. Yeah.
yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
huh, okay. Okay. Now, okay, so did he tell you anything about a specific deer he was after over there in
Oh, he was
Arkansas?
after a big one. Yeah, he was after a big one. But Clifton's got that 50-inch rule. If he's after a 200 and a 150 walks through, he's gonna shoot it. So
I don't blame him.
Yeah,
I don't blame him at all.
If he's after a 150 and a 130 walks through, he's gonna shoot it too. So
Yep.
he's not gonna pass him up. So, but no, he was after. This is his second trip to Kansas. The first trip, man, horrible weather, rained every day. Just did not get to spend a lot of time hitting it hard. And then I think he had to come back on Sunday, and I think Friday. I think he got a Saturday. I think it was Saturday, and then the morning hunt on Sunday. He finally got in there and found the big one. So
Nice.
I said, man, he had to come back for work, had to come back and give him a week, and then was back in the tree yesterday on the ground. So knew exactly where to go to get that deer. And then this one came through. So he actually didn't shoot the one he was, he's been dreaming about. But
Yeah.
That's it, man. It's Kansas 150s or who's going to pass up 150-inch deer, right? So
I know I wouldn't. I wouldn't pass up a 120 at this point. Hell, I'm almost to the point now I wouldn't even pass up a spike. It's been one of those years.
I was with my son the other day, and I was trying to talk him into shooting a dink 8-pointer, and he was like, "I'm not doing it. I'm not wasting that tag." He tagged out one year on two nice deer, and but he did it in the same day, and he's like, I'm not doing that." So he's done seen what's out there, and those game cameras can mess a kid up. But it is November the 19th, so that Thanksgiving hunt, he's going to want to start knocking them down. So I'm sure they'll start falling the week of Thanksgiving. So
yeah,
whenever he gets out of school, whenever they let school out, he can hunt every day.
Yeah, dude, I wish, man. You ain't kidding about making our cameras driving kids crazy. They'll drive me crazy. I've probably had over this past summer and up to now, I've probably had about 8 or 9 different shooter bucks on camera.
Really?
And I've only seen one in person, and I completely botched it. So it has been like I was able to put a doe down. I've got a spot I can go kill a doe anytime I want, but it's like it's November. I don't really want to do that right now. Yeah. Like we still got all of December, and then the regular season goes 2 weeks into January, and then I've got another 2 weeks after that at a couple spots my buddy's got. I could go kill a doe or a buck or whatever if I wanted to. So it's just one of those things. Like I just got to pace myself. But
get in there and bust that call out, powder down, and start call him into it. I think
I've done everything.
This one in. I can't wait to watch the video. He said this one. He put the old Clifton Denny shot on in the quartering towards you, right over the front shoulder, and locked him up. So,
dude, I can't wait to see that. I need to text him after this and be like, all right, man. First off, where was my call? Second, send the photo. Yeah. That's awesome. So, all right. Well, enough about other people. Let's talk about you. What has changed with you and Camo Dust and like everything since the last time we talked? Because I remember last time you were saying something about Camo Dust getting into Walmart, and every time I go to Walmart, I'm still looking. Has it made it there yet?
So I don't know what the deal is with Walmart. Camo Dust got a yes from Walmart. We did the open call, met with the buyer. 15 minutes into the conversation, he gave us a yes. they wrote a big article about Camo Dust, and it was one of 2 companies in the state of Arkansas that actually got a yes out of like 12,000.
Oh,
So
wow.
we got the yes, and we've done everything that they asked us to do. We are on Walmart.com.
Yeah.
We uploaded it into that. But as far as Walmart putting an order out, that's a Walmart question. So
Mm.
every one of your listeners can go ask. I don't know if it matters if they ask somebody in Walmart about Camo Dust or not. Those guys don't know. So it's
Yeah.
the one that makes the call here in Fayetteville. Just for whatever reason, they have not wanted to put it on the shelf. So we're just
Huh.
we're going the mom and pop route, your local bow shop. So if you guys, you know, have a bow shop that you want to carry Camo Dust, we'll get them on the phone. It's a no brainer. I mean, it is the only dry scent eliminator that's out there. So as
Yeah.
far as that goes, so as Walmart, if you get on Walmart.com, you can order it from there. But as far as anything else, man, I don't know what we have to do to get it in the box stores. It's one of those deals.
Well, I'm gonna go up there next time I go in there, and I'm gonna say, hey, can I speak to your manager real quick? I'm gonna get my full Karen on, and just be like, can I speak with the manager, please? And I'm gonna say, listen,
Right. I
I don't
guess
know
that's
if you
what we
hunt or
need to
not.
do. We need to get all the
Yeah.
people that use Camo Dust to just hit their local Walmart up and say, why are we not carrying this stuff? So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not like we don't have the product. We have the product in the warehouse, ready to go, sitting on an order. So we just need an order. But it's they're a year out in advance. Walmart runs everything a year out, so we knew we were going to be. We really thought this was going to be the season, but
Yeah.
for whatever reason, we didn't get an order. So
That sucks, man. And I've been like telling a lot of people, like I've obviously been a believer in Camo Dust since last year, but I really have put it to the test this year, right?
yeah,
And I've had so many buddies, man. They'll since the beginning of season in September, they'll call me up and be like, "Yeah, man, I had this buck or I had this doe or whatever, and they blew at me and they winded me, and I just start laughing. I'm like, look, I've been telling you, if you use Camo Dust and you use it right, you won't get winded. I think I've got, and I said this in the intro, but I've got winded one time. One out of all the sits that I've had this season, I got winded one time, and I think it's because I was using um one of the socks that didn't have that kind of had a little bit less dust in it than one of my newer ones.
mm-hmm.
And I tried shaking the crap out of it and all of that, but it was super windy. It had just rained. That's the only thing that makes sense to me because I've specifically sat on a bad wind, and I do the thing you told me to do is dust down everything a few days before after
Right.
you wash it,
Mm-hmm.
put it on. When you get to your spot, dust down, go get in the tree, dust down again. I've had times I'll dust down just because I'm bored because I'm not seeing nothing. And I have had the wind blowing at my back directly down to the deer, and they have no idea. So that's why when we first set this up, I'm like, dude, I got some stories to tell you because, like, for real, I've used nose jammer, I've used the orange bottle stuff, I've used what is it, scent thief, scent away, just all of it, and I've always gotten winded up until this. So yeah, for everybody listening, they really need to give it a shot. But people, like we talked about last time, people think it's a gimmick. They're like, oh, you just put dust on you, and it's like they just don't understand it.
It's that simple. I mean, the science behind it is a lot more complicated than just powdering down, but it is that simple. I mean, it doesn't start working until it meets that moisture molecule, which is the human scent. So it's designed to just eliminate the human scent. But if you wanted to, when you're sitting there telling somebody and they say, does it really work or it's just dust, put a little, like a dime size or pea size piece of hand sanitizer, about the size of a pea, a hand sanitizer, and just do it like this right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then take the sock and fill your hand full of dust and massage it in and dry that moisturizer out or that hand sanitizer out,
Mm-hmm.
and then smell your hands, and you won't be able to smell the sanitizer. It attacks that moisture molecule, which it's not even designed to do that, but it'll do it. We've got guys in bass fishing leagues here in North Arkansas that are using it just to keep their scent off their hands when they're changing lures and stuff like that, or
Wow.
in your boat when you're fueling up. People don't think about fishing sunscreen and stuff like that. So they'll powder down their hands, dry their hands off, and then they go back to fishing and don't miss a beat. So it's I had a guy message me. Actually, he called me and he wanted me to use it or try to make a soap out of it. Can you make a soap? And I said, well, no, it's the dry part is what makes it so good. But he was wanting to use it. He's a commercial fisherman, and he said since he's bought his boat every single day, he's had fish in his live well. Well, when he cleans it out, it always smells like fish. Well, he started sprinkling Camo Dust in his ice chest.
Yeah,
cleaned it out, dust down, and then wipes it down, washes it out, and it doesn't smell like fish. So
wow,
he's like, this stuff is amazing. And he said that ice chest has smelled like fish from day one, and now it doesn't. So I'm learning, and I hear stuff like that, and I'm thinking, man, it's pretty neat to watch. Or you see kids. I've got a buddy that has he's used it for years. His son, his youngest son, or his middle son, I guess it's his youngest son.
yeah.
I seen him one day at the gym, and he says, "Hey, look here!" And he had a can of Camo Dust in his backpack. He carries it because he doesn't want his football pads to stink.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there, and he's a junior high football player. His pads stink. He's dusting his pads, his shoes down. He said, "I'm the only one that don't stink, man. My stuff don't stink." So now all his buddies are getting Camo Dust and dusting down their pads to get rid of that nasty, smelly.
So
you know how bad it stinks in a locker room.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, I even use it like on my boots, man. Like when I hunted this past weekend, I got back in the truck and was warming up and all that, and like, dude, I I took my boots off, and I don't know what was going on that day, but like it just hit me, and I was like, oh hell no. So I took the sock and just sprinkled all in it.
Absolutely.
Put it back in the tote.
I don't take my boots off and not. Yeah, every single time I take my boots off, I put some dust in them.
Well, that's like, so I dust down my socks. I dust down literally everything. I mean, I am so meticulous with it.
Yep.
And so I don't know if my feet were just sweating because I was bundled up. I mean, it got cold here. And so I had about 4 layers on, which is crazy because it was only like low 40s. But for some reason, my northern skin is gone, and now I've got thin southern skin because I've been here for so long. And so like 40 degrees for me is like I'm shivering in the stand. So I had 2 pairs of socks on, and maybe that's what it was. I don't know, but either way, it worked. And that, dude, see, that's the thing is like I wish I could have the video of these deer. So like I'll give you a good example, and it's also heartbreaking, but I'll give you a good example. When that hurricane came through, when Helene came through, I hunted that evening because she came through, I think it was in the morning, and cleared up around like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I got off in time. I hurried home, went to my spot where one of my target bucks was at, and he was showing up quite a bit. And I knew that he was going to show up that day. Like I saw so many deer that day after everything cleared out. It was insane. I probably saw like 16 does, one little like 1.5-year-old forky buck. And then the wind was very shifty the whole day. So it'd be blowing to my right, and then it would come back and blow behind me. Right. So obviously dusted down. These deer never smelled me, no problem.
Right.
Well, when dark came, now my target buck still hadn't shown up. Right. But at this point, the wind started going to my right, and I'm hunting over a power line at this spot. So it's like kind of a wind tunnel almost. Well, I could feel the wind blowing to my right, and I'm like, dude, if he comes from that way, I haven't dusted down in a minute. Because I was still kind of like, this is sort of early season, so I was like, did I do it right? Did I, all this stuff. And sure enough, man, right at last light, my buddy had texted me saying he shot a really big deer. And so I was like, all right, give me till dark. I'll get down. I'll come help you find it. We ended up tracking till midnight. So, my wife was not happy. But it comes with the territory. But anyway, so last light comes. I don't think he's going to show up. Wind is still blowing to my right. Okay. And this deer has never, ever, ever shown up coming from the direction the wind is blowing. He's always come down the power line. He's never come up the power line. I'm like, he's not here. So I take my arrow off the bow, put it in the quiver, lower the bow down. As soon as that cam touches the ground, who's right there 15 yards ahead of me?
Golly.
Uh-huh. That happened twice. So I get my bow up, he sees it, runs off. I'm sitting there, I still got 5 minutes left of light. And I wait 5 minutes. He doesn't come back. I'm like, well, he's an old deer, he's not going to show up. Same thing, dude. Put the bow down on the ground. As soon as it touches the ground, he comes walking out 25 yards from the woods. And I'm just like,
Golly.
what the heck, dude? Like I wanted to dive, swan dive off my tree stand just because I'm like, this is ridiculous. But what was crazy, so I was thinking about it a couple days after, I was like, the wind was blowing directly to him. And I know that if my scent was getting carried on it, he would have smelled it. He just came walking up like I was never there. And I watched him come up, and the only reason he spooked is because he saw my bow. So I'm living testament now that a 5-year-old deer will not smell you if you do it right. So, but all right. So I guess for the people who don't really know, like some of the newer listeners, what do you recommend for people using Camo Dust? So obviously it's a dust or a dry compound that, covers your scent, kills your scent, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
What's the best way to use it for people who don't really know?
First off, buy a 6-pack.
Got it.
You might as well just start off and buy a 6-pack. Everybody buys the double just because it's priced right, but you end up. I could go back and look at order after order of the repeat customers. They, if you look at the pattern, it'll be 5 years ago it was a single, and then the next time they ordered it was a 6-pack, and now new customers, they hear their buddies and they see what their buddies are doing, they buy the double, and then they come back and buy a 6-pack. Just start off with a 6-pack. You're going to use all 6 of them.
Yeah, it does last you though. I got to tell you.
Yeah, it does. A 6-pack, depending on how hard you hunt, how often you hunt, a 6-pack. In each sock, I say you get 8 to 10 hunts out of it. If you're a weekend warrior, you're going to go through a 6, and a lot of people take their kids, so each kid gets a sock at that point, or you're going to have a spare in case one gets wet. I don't know how many times I talked to somebody and man, I left it in my. So a lot of times guys will they keep their clothes in totes in the back of their truck, but they're not thinking about when it's late September, early October, when it's still 95 degrees outside. They take all their stuff off, put their street clothes back on, they throw it in there, and then they throw their sock on top. Well, all that moisture that's in those clothes, that sock, that dust is free of moisture. We've dried all the free moisture out of it. So it's going to attack every single, moisture molecule that it can, and it'll turn that sock clumpy. And, if you pick it up and it's got chunks in it, it's soaked up moisture. But a lot of times you can just kind of massage the sock, break it up, and that's just the outside coating or the crust or something like that. But I have had a couple of guys, ruin a sock by throwing it in some wet and sweaty clothes, and they're like, this thing's hard as a rock. And I'm like, yeah, it soaked up every bit of that liquid that was in your clothes. So you want to be careful about that. You can still sprinkle it. I keep my sock. I keep it separate. I will. I'm dusting everything down when I put it back in there anyway. Even though I'm gonna probably more than likely wash it if it's early season and it's hot and I've sweat a lot. I've got the shirt that I walked in a Ziploc bag in my backpack. So I'm taking it out and I'm putting it in the back of the truck. And then I'm putting my backpack up and I'm dusting it down when I set it in there. So I can, sin or something that's on it. Of course, there's not a lot of smells that I don't put fuel in the back of my truck or anything like that. So, you don't have, might be some bait or some stuff like that goes back there. But other than that, nothing that's going to run a deer off. So, back to your question, how do they use it? Powder down, buy a 6-pack, powder your clothes down, wash your clothes. I say all free and clear, just because you're not getting a whole lot of loads with the industry scent stuff. You're just not going to get a whole lot of loads washed with what you're spending. All free and clear has no dyes, no detergents, no UV brighteners in it. So that's what I use. That's what we use from about August, the 1st of August to January. It's a pretty bland around the Parnell house. So my daughter hates it. but the towels just are not going to smell mountain fresh until deer season's over. And I mean, she's gotten used to it now. She'll still throw out a complaint every once in a while, but for the most part, she knows that's the name of the game. So we've got the scent free soap sitting there. You know, a lot of people don't think about this, but I don't know if your wife's like mine. Every single bathroom's got some foam soap that has some wild, I mean, there are wild smells. Well, when you use the bathroom, the first thing you do, you're getting ready to leave to walk out the door to go deer hunting. You pee, you go to wash your hands. What have you just done? You just put that old frilly smelling stuff on your hands. So we've got the scent free stuff. So that's you know, just one of the little things that now there is still scent free stuff for when we're not hunting. The girls just are not, they're not going to live in a house that don't have good smelling soap, but the other stuff is sitting right there. So you don't make that mistake. But man, just take your clothes when you get to where you're going to hunt, powder down. Man, there are videos of me and Clifton powdering down. You can see us. It looks like a dust cloud. Just, I mean, we look like the Tasmanian devil with dust all over us. And that's how we dust down. I want to use as much of it as I can. I want it to saturate all the pores of my clothes, get in my hair, get in my, you know, on my skin. It's not going to hurt you to get on you. That's how we use it. I also have buddies that are just as successful, and all they do is just pat it, you know. And it's fine. It's really fine, and it does cover you. So I mean, it's really, I mean, some of the guys that are the most successful deer hunters out there, that every single year they're going to send me a picture of them with one or two deer, a bear, a couple of hogs. Like, they're killing a bunch of critters out there with Camo Dust. They're dusting that, you know, they're just kind of patting it down, kind of like, not like me and Clifton, where we're just shaking socks and just making a dust cloud. So it works either way. You just want to get it on you. You want it to get on your clothes, because it's going to act as a barrier. And as your human scent passes through, which is moisture, it's going to latch onto that dry dirt. And then our patented process actually takes the molecule and separates it and keeps it from forming an odor that's offensive to game. So we don't ever let it get to an odor. I mean, if you watch any of the commercials or TV shows or anything like that on TV now or YouTube, they're talking about enzymes and bacteria and all that. We never let it get to that point. So we don't ever let the molecule form an odor. We actually separate it before it forms, and that's what makes it's what makes us work. That's why I think we work so much better than everybody else, is because they're letting it get to that form and then they're killing it. Well, we're preventing it. I'm preventing the odor from forming. And as far as I know, I think we're the only one. I know we're the only dry scent eliminator on there, but I really think we're the only one that's actually ever preventing an odor. We're not ever letting it get there. So if they don't know you're there, if a deer doesn't know you're there, we know. They trust their nose over everything. So powder down, you know, kill that scent. And then if you do bump your stand, or you know, like that buck, he saw your bow, it just wasn't natural to him. He didn't smell anything. Big bucks, you know, mature deer are going to come from downwind. That's probably why, and I know that. That's why he came from your right. Or I guess it was your left, right?
No, it was my right.
It was.
That's what was
the wind
crazy
was
about
left
it.
to right. Yeah, wind was left to right. He had never come that way, but he was coming from downwind. He was scent checking everything 100 yards, 150, 200 yards down. He didn't smell you. So a lot of people, you know, in Arkansas, I'll just tell you this, over the last 5 or 6 years, I've noticed, when I grew up, people would say, man, you can't rattle in Arkansas. You can't call a buck in Arkansas. And Richard Fault was doing it, but Richard Fault was using Camo Dust. You know, you can't do this. Bucks just don't do that. They don't act that way. They're not that aggressive, you know, Arkansas deer. Well, the deer, Arkansas, you can't see in a lot of timber down here. You can't see 100 yards. You know, you might be able to see 100 in a spot, you know, but if the wind's right, you might not be able to see 100 yards, you know, southwest, you know, and that wind's blowing that way, and you're sitting there calling, or you're rattling, and he's coming from 100 yards or 150 yards, 200 yards. He scent checks you, smells you, and he leaves. He doesn't even have to go down there. He doesn't smell a buck. He smells a human. And so they don't go. But here in the last, you know, since we've come out with Camo Dust in 2018, man, you get on a forum here in Arkansas and you see I called him in, or I rattled him in, or I did this. Not to say that they're all Camo Dust, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of guys out there that are using Camo Dust that are calling deer and saying, hey, I am successful. It is making a difference. I'm seeing a lot more deer and my calling is working, so
Yeah.
it does pay to toot that grunt call every 5 minutes. You can't do it enough because, a deer can walk. People think, man, I'm going to call too much. If you're not calling within every 5 minutes, you're probably not calling enough. So, you're not going to bother the deer. My son, he's fixing to be 13 in February. Man, that dude has done watched too many Richard Fault videos and Clifton Denny. And like that dude calls all the time.
Yeah.
And he'll call with does in there. Like if we're bored and he's sitting there, he sits there longer than 30 minutes, doesn't see any deer, he's calling. And that he'll give him that first 30 minutes. And then after that, man, he's blowing that grunt call constantly. And he's calling in 2-year-old deer. He's calling in does. Man, it is amazing just grunting, what grunting will do on calling in doe. Like we get to see, even the does will be sitting out there in front of us and he's still chirping on that grunt call.
And they don't care.
It's not normal for me. And I've learned and I've listened from guys like Richard and Clifton on the calling. But man, them does don't care. There's those does are out there grunting. I think I got it on video. I'll have to. I'm pretty sure I have it on video if you can hear it. But I've got a doe walking right up to us, just a crazy grunt, just grunting through the woods. I thought it was a button buck, but it was a full blown. Yeah, we could hear it before we could get up there, and it was a doe just grunting. Like,
so do you think like Arkansas deer? Because all right, so I'm glad you brought this up because this is something I've wanted to talk with somebody about. But I've got this new spot, and you just described it perfectly. It's so thick all the way around me. I can maybe see. I think there's one hole that I can see probably about 60 yards, right? Everything else is so thick. And this is where I've got 5 or 6 really probably 2 really decent bucks and then 3 just perfect absolute shooters, right?
Yep.
And so I was talking to my buddy that used to hunt it not used to hunt it. He and I both hunt it now, but he's tagged out. So he's like, dude, have at it. Right. So I was talking to him.
That's a good buddy to have.
Oh, dude, I cannot tell you how happy I was when he was like, yeah, man, I talked to the landowner. He's fine with you coming here. I was like, all right, well, you let me know when you're going to go in and when you're not. He's like, I'm tagged out now. He's like, that I'm not going over there after bucks. I'm like, oh, you don't know what you just did. I was like, you really don't know. And then of course, 2 days after I put a camera out there, I see this giant split brow buck and it's bigger than one he killed over there earlier this year. And I'm just like, are you sure you want me to hunt here? I was like, cause I'll kill that deer if he shows up. He's like, dude, kill them all. I was like, well, I can't do that. Can't do that legally. But the grunting thing, so I brought that up to him, and I've always used like the bleat can. Funny story, I actually called 2 does in. One of them I ended up shooting a few weeks back with the bleat can just because I was messing around and I was frustrated.
Do you just turn it over or do you blow into it, make a long
I usually turn it over. I've done the blowing into it thing. It doesn't sound right to me.
Yeah.
So, but they were up on the same spot where I saw one of my target bucks, and dude, they came down and busted off, and not really busted off. They kind of just, ran down the power line, and like 20 minutes goes by, and I look up and I see them walking because the way it's set up, that it's basically like a little peninsula, right? So it's on a lake, and so it goes down. I'm on the power line, and then the road goes down to this little peninsula, and they have to circle back. They have nowhere else to go. So I knew they were going to be coming back. I just didn't know where. And I see them across the road, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to try it. I'm like, if they bust off, then fine. But I'm just going to see what happens because I've never done this before. So I grab the bleat can, and I'm just, sitting out there, and I'm just like, meh. And then, dude, you should have seen they were just cruising along. They heard that, and they come straight down. And I'm laughing. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, I just called a doe in with a bleat can. And ended up shooting one. So that the whole calling thing has kind of been a little bit of a mystery for me. Like I had Richard Fought on last year, and he explained his full system. And I've tried it some. I haven't had any success yet. But what I was told about this new property is that over there, for some reason, grunting seems to intimidate those bucks. Like my buddy's never had good luck grunting. He's always, excuse me, always hit the bleat can or rattled or whatever, and that's when he's got him to come in. So I
Well,
mean,
if he's rattling, I think if he's rattling, the grunt call shouldn't. It might just be how he's grunting. It might be the type of grunt, or it might be the grunt call. It may just sound like a crappy grunt call.
yeah,
I don't know your buddy or the grunt the grunt call he's using, but get you a good quality grunt call. The extinguisher is a fantastic grunt call.
that's the one that I use.
Yeah, so use it. And I mean, it's just a one anybody can get easy. So
Yeah,
you can find one that's handmade, like a Hattie bow or something. Like a fella here in Arkansas makes Hattie bows. They're good. Crank that sucker down to where it sounds like a mature buck, and go to blowing on it. Go back and watch your video if Richard did any kind of calling. I mean, that's what Beckett did. Beckett would put it to his ear, and every time Richard would grunt, Beckett would grunt, and he would do exactly what Richard was doing. And
that's the
no
best way to
joke,
learn.
within 5 minutes, we've got deer walking in, and Beckett just learned. That's how he learned his cadence,
Yeah.
and he just does it. He does it every single direction, and he likes it. So it's
I mean,
but
it's
yeah,
fun,
do
dude.
that. And I don't think you can. I don't know that they're intimidated by it if rattling works. They're still a buck deer. It just might be the quality of calling
Yeah.
that you're doing. So you're dusted up. They're not going to smell you, even if you can only see 60 yards. There's a place here in Arkansas. I don't think I've got a shot over 30, and man, you can get in there and call and see 10 different bucks
Yeah.
within. I mean, when it happens, it happens. And
Well, and I remember Richard explaining to me, he's like, if you're in a pine flat, like you can call all you want, but a deer is going to see you. You have no
Yep.
cover there. He's like, so I don't do it that way. But when I got to the spot and actually saw how thick it was, and I got up in the tree and I'm looking around and I'm like, dude, I can hardly see to my right. I can hardly see to my left. I've got a couple of shooting lanes, but this is exactly what I need because it's
Yep.
right next to a big oak flat that has almost no thick cover. So it's like, it sounds like the perfect spot.
he's gonna come
And
in there looking.
yeah, and so like I think this weekend, because it's late November, because I haven't really seen much rut activity over there, but I've only been hunting there for 2 weeks. I honestly haven't seen much rut activity at all. I saw Trike, my target buck, chasing end of October. He's been gone for 18 days, so he's probably dead. Like I'm thinking about posting something like a picture of him on Facebook, and just being like, has anyone seen this deer? Because I haven't.
I just hold out. I had one leave for 52 days. I think it was like 52 days from the time I
Crap.
saw him till the time I saw him again. It was 52 days. I think me and Richard were actually hunting the same deer, and I went 80 days without seeing him. It was 80, and I wasn't hunting 80 days straight, but I mean, from the time I first saw him, and I was hunting a lot.
Yeah.
Then it was before it was when I could hunt a lot more.
Yeah.
But we were hunting. Of course, Richard hunts every afternoon, and I had seen him. Richard was hunting. We were hunting both sides of the ridges. We didn't even know it at the time. I was coming in from one way. He was coming in from the other. And we were hunting the same way.
Yeah.
And,
dude, he told me this story.
yeah. So, yeah. And neither. And when I seen the deer I guess the third time I saw the deer, it had been 80 days. I guess that was the second time I saw him. And then I seen him the next morning too. I moved. And that's when I asked Richard, I said, how the heck do you pick a tree? And he said, man, call him over to you. And I'm like, I've seen him 3 times. And I drew back on him the very first time I saw him.
Yeah.
And couldn't get a shot on his vibe. I couldn't get a shot. So it was early. I think it was the first day of deer season is what it was. And he was in with 5 does. He was running 5 does the very first day. I think that was like September 28th or something like that. He'd come in grunting, and he's a 175-inch deer and on public land. And I drew back and I thought, I'm fixing to shoot the biggest deer of my life on opening.
Yeah.
And it was, I had already gotten ready, picked out a doe. I was fixing to shoot a doe. And then I heard grunting coming up the draw, and I was like, what in the world? And I was thinking it was going to be a little 2-year-old deer or something like
a little
that.
dinky thing.
And I was still going to shoot a doe. And then I saw the amount of horns that were They were there, and of course when he stops he was in some privet hedge. You couldn't see anything but horns, and
Yeah.
and I'm like, so then when he come, and I'm like, well, the doe went right under me. I mean, they left, 3 feet from the base of my tree, and I thought, all right, I'm fixing to smoke him right here at my tree.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking he's just going to walk. Well, they get about 40 yards behind me, and he just takes off running. And did I lose you?
Yep. Lost the video. All right, guys. We had a little technical difficulty. I don't know what's been going on. This seems to happen almost every single episode where something happens, whether it cuts out or the video stops or whatever. But we're back. So you were telling the story about the buck you thought
Yeah, so
175-inch deer was going to
something's
come to
going.
the tree.
Anytime I tell the story, something goes wrong, right? So anyway, he's standing there. I could hear, and I still till this day think it was Richard grunting at him. But I'll never know. He heard a buck grunt.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a buck grunt up on the ridge. I'm hunting in
Yeah.
a little bowl where they say don't ever hunt because the wind swirls and all that. But this is a killing tree. Like there
Yeah.
have been I call it 2 buck because I shot 2 bucks off of it in one day.
Dang.
So yeah, tagged out that
Holy
year.
crap.
But anyway, I'm thinking he's fixing to come right under just like those doe did, and I'm gonna shoot him at just right under my tree.
Yeah.
And he takes off. He just runs this is a 5-6 year old deer, and he just in a full sprint comes by me with his nose stuck straight out like it's November 7th and the rut is full on, and he catches up to those doe and just pushes them, completely out of the area. And I think it's anyway, so that was the first time I had my first encounter with him. Second encounter, he was about 80 yards away, and then I moved, and I can't shoot. I shoot a 60-pound bow, so 40 yards is the farthest I can shoot. And anyway,
Yeah.
80 was too far, and then I moved on that ridge because he had come up that draw the same way both times, and I had actually moved up the ridge later in the season because I was hunting acorns, and I wasn't even thinking about that deer at that point. And he come up, and when he turned, he made a turn at like, I don't know, 55 or 60, and I thought about sending it, but he was right on the edge of some cane that comes up out of the bottom. I mean, it was not one of those shots I felt comfortable with.
Yeah.
I've got a 40-yard pin, and I'm not scared to send 150 at practice, but with a deer that caliber, I knew I had him pegged. So, it was just one of those deals where I kept hunting him like that. But anyway, I asked Richard, I'm like, how do you pick the tree? I feel unlucky. And he's like, call that sucker into you.
I'm gonna have to try it, man, because I'm telling you, I was having this conversation with a buddy of mine this morning, and it's gonna sound bad, right? Like I'm sure someone's gonna listen to this and be like, wow, that's a terrible way to look at it. But I look on like Facebook, right? Or buddies of mine that are in the industry that I listen to, like Joe Miles. I listen to Joe Miles about pretty much everything. And when he says do something, I try to do it. If I have the means to do it, like rut funnels or certain winds, certain pressures, whatever, all that stuff. I don't know what it is that I'm missing to be able to not only have these deer on camera, I've got them on camera, but actually be in there when they're in there. Either bring them in or just be able to get one. Because, okay, Trike showed up. He's probably a 5-year-old deer. I did it right that time, or I just got lucky, right? But I've been trying to figure out, like, what am I missing? It can't be the scent control stuff because I'm using Camo Dust. Haven't gotten winded except maybe one time. And it could have been me moving for all I know, right? But like I just can't seem to figure it out. And I mean, is there any tricks that you've maybe learned or stuff that like, you're I don't know if you guys can bait where you're at, but like you're baiting, you're using Camo Dust, you're calling, you're using doe and estrus, you're up in the tree, you've got them all on camera, you're sitting right there where you think they're going to be at. And then
I don't use any doe and estrus. I don't use anything that's not natural. And when I say that, like I put out like I'll throw acorns out. I rake up sawtooth oak acorns
Yeah.
in September, and that's what I bait with on private ground, not on public ground.
Yeah.
So I bait with acorns, and I don't just pile them up. I spread them out, make the deer have to hunt for them. I
Mhm.
might throw out 200 pounds of acorns once a week, and just to
Dang.
keep them in there. And the bucks, I don't use a feeder. I don't use any of that stuff. So, I make them have to hunt for the acorns like it's a natural setting. And then I don't, we don't go in there unless we get a deer, unless they're daylight. There's no reason to hunt there if they're not daylight
See,
because
and
they're
that's what I've
not
been
there.
struggling with.
Well,
Like,
put more cameras out. So you got to find a peak. More than
yeah.
likely, deer aren't staying on your property. So you got to figure out a way to either get them on your property, get
Mhm.
them on get on the edge of your property. You may move your bait pile. It could be a completely different uh, section, like where you're hunting and where you like, and you're like, man, it looks good. You may need to move 75 yards to get daylight deer,
Hmm.
or 150 yards. I hunt. I've got 80 acres. The guy that's south of me has 40 acres. I am no less than 200 yards from him. I've had a bait pile out since October maybe whenever gun season. Both it was a week before muzzleloading season or youth season.
Yeah.
Maybe muzzleloading season. I didn't put a bait pile or a camera out until mid October. And here in Arkansas, when you can look it up, whenever they opened muzzleloader, it was like 5 days before that date. Before I put my first camera out and a bunch of acres. I've had it out since then. I don't have anything that is going to get me excited to show. Nothing over 115 inches when
Yeah.
it comes to 8-pointers or anything like that. The guy to the south of me is his bait pile is no less than 200 yards from mine,
Huh.
and he's had it out. I don't know. He's probably been baiting longer. He's been baiting since September. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
But he sent me a picture the other day. He's got a 140-inch 8-pointer on there. That deer's never came to my bait pile. I've got
Makes
15
sense.
different doe coming in. I've got, I think, 5 or 6, 7 different bucks coming in on a regular basis to that
Yeah.
bait site, and they're daylighting. Like every single one of those deer are coming out in the daylight. I'm not. It's not like I'm running deer out of there, but that 8-pointer is just not. That's not his core. That's not his. Just 200 yards. It's less than 200 yards, but that deer has not, even in the middle of the night, ranged over there. And we're November the 19th.
Hmm.
He hasn't come looking for a doe over there. So, move. If you're not getting that spot, or don't get anchored down
Yeah.
to one little area. Keep baiting there because it makes you happy, and you can keep a camera on it.
Yeah.
But move. Was that deer you're talking about? Was he coming into the bait?
Which one? The one that I messed up on?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I had him, and I think that's why I'm struggling so bad, like mentally with it, because all summer long, I had those deer trained. I mean, I'm
Mhm.
not even kidding. I would put food out and I'd watch them come down from the other side of the woods
Yeah.
and funnel into this little
So you can see
power
where they're
line.
coming out of.
Oh, 100%.
So go hunt up there.
I can't.
Oh, it's not on
I'm
you.
on one. So all right. So that's what I was gonna say is
Okay.
here's
Okay.
here's the
It's always
problem I
like
think it is. That spot is 1 acre.
Mhm.
Then I've got the new
Oh
spot.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the new spot is like 5, and it's connected. Like it's basically a funnel. So this new spot is this really thick, like
Mhm.
patch of woods, but it's only 150 yards long by maybe 80 yards wide.
Have you
And
just
they
busted
use
off
it
through there wide open and tried to bust deer out of there so you can see what's in there?
every time I go in to hunt. That's the
Run them out.
problem.
Yeah, you got to find a different way in. Come in
Yeah.
from the
So
lake. Is it connected to the lake?
no, so I'm
You
talking
get
about
in
2
from the
different
lake?
spots now. So the
Oh,
lake
okay.
spot, no, the lake spot I can see for a long distance. Like when I drive in, I drive past where these deer come from, and I can look in the woods. And I've seen many times does just bedded up. I've seen that target buck of mine bedded up a couple of times in the summertime. That spot though, I'm very restricted to just the power line. I have moved. So I did what you were saying. I did move the feed and cameras and everything into the woodlot that's behind me. It's only 1 acre, and I did have him daylight. This was back in October, but he did daylight once, and then I hunted there. I think it was my first morning hunt in October, and I saw like one little yearling doe, and that was literally it. And they had been coming in consistently. So I moved everything back to the power line, and sure enough, dude, just like the switch flipped, man. It just does all the time. He was showing up. He's daylighted a couple of times, and then he disappeared 18 days ago. And I haven't hunted there since because, I got the new spot. I have this bigger piece that I can move around on, and I've done it. But the big bucks over there really seem to like I've got like this clearing, and then it's just woods, like hundreds of acres of woods. I only have access to about 3 of it. So I'm really constricted on what I'm able to do, but
yeah,
I've gotten lucky though, because all the sign, like these deer are in there. You go in there, you see rubs all over the place. You see scrapes. I mean, they're there. I haven't hunted this new spot in the evening yet. That might be the trick to it, because I have had a few bucks daylight in the evening, and 1 or 2 daylight in the morning, but only once. So it's kind of, I'm still learning that new place. But as far as like the lake property or that other spot that's bigger,
yeah, hunting a small spot like that, a little track, like I would say, if they're not coming in consistently, moving through there the same time every day,
yeah,
and you can't pattern them with the camera or something like that, or from a tree, you're gonna have to call them in. Break out the horns and rattle them up. Use this time of year as their weakness. So especially on a small track like that. So I guess I'm no expert. So I hunt WMAs. It's 19,000 acres. If I don't like this spot, I'm going to another one. There's you can move. That's why I was saying just completely move. But yeah, that 80 that I hunt it butts up next to WMA. So it's you've got guys coming in from the other side, or something like that. But it's a great spot to keep the kids happy. I can bait in a spot and they can go, and now Beckett's old enough that he can hunt by himself. He's got his hunter's ed card. My daughter wants to shoot. It's easy because I don't have to drag it with a cart. If she'll shoot something every single time. I can just pull up with the side by side, throw it in the back, and we're at the truck in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's none of this walking 2 miles in with a cart or backpacking one out because you had to debone it or something like that. So,
dude, well, and I'm kicking myself too, because this past weekend was the last archery hunt of the public land that's near me, and I was gonna go. Like, I had every intention of going, and then of course I pull the card off this new property, and I've got, like I said, 6 shooter bucks, and I'm like, well, why would I go to public? If I put food out and these deer are showing up, why would I go to public and waste time there when I can just put food out over here? What I didn't account for is raccoons. Now, I don't know if you know about raccoons, but raccoons are the devil. They're adorable. I love them. They eat everything. So I put all this food out, super hyped up. I did it the day before. Okay, so I went last Friday, put out, what was it, 50 pounds of corn and like this peanut butter molasses mix attractant. And dude, I was hyped. I'm like, I'm gonna see deer. I had a new cell camera out there, so I'm like, I'm gonna see something. This is going to be the day. It's the first cold front that we've had. We've been super warm. It's in the 40s. It's gonna happen. All night long, I was getting, but all of the bucks I want to shoot were showing up, but they'd only stay for like 20 minutes. Everything else, nothing but raccoons. So then I get to the spot the next morning. I pull into the parking. So it's at this guy's house. So I'm parking like in this little driveway he's got. Dude, as soon as I pull up, there's 2 bucks there in the front yard, and they see me and they run off. It gets better. And this is why again, another ad for Camo Dust. All right. So you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So I get out. I see those deer. I'm like, crap. It's going to be hard to get in, but it's really early. I'll be fine. Get out, get all my clothes on, do my little snow shower, get my backpack on, or my climber on, grab my pack, grab my bow, and I'm walking to the woods. And I've got my little light on.
Uh-huh.
Dude, I am like kind of looking around a bit and I'm not seeing nothing. And I'm looking ahead. And the way that it's set up is it's near a church. So I have to walk along the church wood line, and they've got these light poles. So I'm walking across or along the wood line, and there's 3 light poles. I can look down at the very last one and I see a deer. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, really? I'm gonna literally walk past this dude. And the wind was blowing to him. And I just was like, you know what? Screw it. We're gonna cross paths at some point. So, but I stopped. And so I'm watching him, and I got my light on him. And I don't know if he was blind or stupid or rutted up or something, but this buck, it was a young buck, probably 2 years old, was walking up the wood line. He goes under the light, and I see him, full body, rack, everything, gets out of the light, and all I see is his eyes. And I'm like, this deer is going to walk up right to me. Like, he can't smell me. I don't know how he doesn't see me. And he's going to walk right to me. He gets within 20 yards and finally lifts his head up and sees me and is like doing the little bob and weave thing, trying to figure out what I am.
Yeah.
And he eventually was like, nope, and just went away. That's the only deer that I saw that entire time.
Golly.
And then I walk up to the spot and I look over, almost all the feed's gone. Those fat raccoons came in and ate it all. So I'm sitting up in the tree like, dude, I don't even have anything other than calling and stuff to even try and pull these deer in. So I got to figure something out. I might just flood it with food this week.
Have you so on that, is this the place with the power line?
No, this is the new spot.
Oh, new spot. New spot's all, it's thick. So
It's super thick.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
That's all I can do. I mean,
break out them horns and start rattling and grunting.
So that's what's killing me too, is I've done that for 2 weeks in a row now, rattled like crazy, like really aggressively. Each time I've heard a buck over. So the way on the other side of the woods, this little woods funnel that I'm in, that's between 2 big sides. On the other side of it is this big field, like a marsh almost. Mm-hmm. And every single time that I have hit those horns together, dude, I can hear a buck on the other side. And I know nobody's hunting over there. So I hear a buck and all I hear is burr, burr, burr. And I'm like, oh, he's coming. I'm like, he is dead. So I'd grunt back or I'd bleat can back or rattle some more. Nothing. Never comes in. I don't know what it is. These deer, they're too smart. They're evolving. That's what I'm thinking it is. Okay, so these deer are learning, and I think they're figuring it out that we're trying to kill them. That's the only thing that makes sense. Call me crazy.
They know. They know.
They know. They're smart. They're a lot smarter than we give them credit for. But no, all joking aside, man. I mean, it's deer hunting. You know, like we can't for sure say what they're going to do. I know, like I see guys like Clifton. I know Clifton's doing it differently than most people, but I see all these dudes and I'm like, what am I missing here? Is it just because I'm not able to go except usually on the weekends? Is it the spots are too small? There has to be something that I'm missing. So
yeah, that weekend warrior stuff's hard. It's hard to be successful when you just get 2 days. You know, that's 4 sits. You know,
dude, I get one day.
That's if you go daylight to dark. You know, so you know, so do you walk out or do you stay from daylight to dark?
Mm-hmm.
You sit all day?
Sorry, I didn't know that was a question. No, I'm literally like, we have gotten so busy with the family that I go either in the morning and I sit till 10, 11 o'clock. And then I have to get out, or I'll go in the evening, but I'll go in early, like midday. Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely things holding me back, but I can't.
Well, I mean, as of right now, you're not, and that's fine. Sacrifice that time, this time right now, to spend time with your family. There's nothing more important than that, right?
Exactly.
And then they're going to get old enough to where they're going to go with you. And before you know it, you're going to have everybody out in the tree with you. So,
or they won't be into it, and then I can just go whenever because they don't want me around anyway.
Oh, it's so much more fun if they are into it. So
yeah.
Is,
Tiffany has been asking. She's like, "Is it still deer season? Can I go?" I'm like, "Dude, because I was gonna take her."
How old is she?
She's 9. But here's the thing:
take her.
I want to, but my ground blind got destroyed by a tree cutter, and I didn't know it until a month ago. Yeah. So I was gonna take her, and then I go to this spot that my grandparents own. They got a bunch of trees taken out, and Dude, I pull up and my ground blind's flat, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll just pop it back up. No, I go to do that. The whole side is torn up. I got mad. I was like, y'all didn't tell me
You're gonna
about
have to
this?
get on Clifton's YouTube channel and look at that double. There's two seats and it's just a little pop up blind that pulls over you.
Hmm.
Buy that. It's worth it. It's
Will
worth
a
it.
crossbow fit in there for her?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can
Okay.
gun hunt out of it, crossbow hunt. Yeah, it's perfect. So
Okay.
yeah, it's two chairs right beside each other. He does a whole video on it, like a review,
Okay.
product review, and it's like a double chaired pop up blind, I guess, or something. It's not even really. It's almost like a little doghouse blind, but flips all the way over, flips all the way back. It's
Hmm.
comfortable. You can see out the two window. Window in the front, windows on the side, and
Interesting.
it packs like backpack style. So I mean, it's like you could carry it. You don't even have to leave it out. So in and out in 5 minutes.
And just put in like some thick stuff for cover and be
You ain't
good.
even got to do that. Just set. My brother went youth season here in Arkansas. We went. So we hunt where we normally hunt is about 2.5, 3 miles from the truck.
Hmm.
Uh, and
Dang.
my boy is old enough. Yeah, he's old enough now to that he wanted to hunt back there where the big bucks get killed. And so I said, well, we're going. We'll go youth
Yeah.
season. Well, me and him had been in this area and we had seen a bunch of bucks early in the season. So you walk in, when you get about a mile, you can either go right or left. Well,
Hmm.
uh, he we were really wanting to go right, but since my brother and his boy were going, Grayson is only 9, so we were like, hey, let's Grayson's going to go to the right because it's a whole lot closer walk. And Beckett was still wanting to go to the back. He wanted to go to the very back. So we were going to go back there. And I honestly, we've never been back there and not seen 8 or 10 buck deer. Uh,
Dang.
I think that's where Clifton was at when I met him. I mean, he had shot 150. My brother shot 164. I shot this one up here on the wall. I mean, we it's a fantastic spot, but you're gonna work to get there. And
Yeah.
so Beckett was ready. We crossed the Beaver Dam. We got in there, got set up uh, about 30 minutes before daylight, and we sat there till 10 o'clock and never saw a deer. Never saw a few squirrels. Got to looking around. There's no sign. Normally there's rubs everywhere. Absolutely zero deer sign in there. So we walked all the way back out at 7 o'clock that morning. I think it was 7:30. Grayson shot I think it was a 9 pointer. I think he shot a 9 pointer, 23 inches wide, 23-inch wide 9 pointer. Yeah, unbelievable buck deer. Yeah, I'll
Good
uh,
God.
I'll see if I can pull it up here and show you. But yeah, public land deer, 9 years old, and that deer come directly downwind. Uh, Actually, it was two deer. Jason said after he saw how wide this one was, he got excited and never he never looked at the second deer to even tell you what it was. He just lifted his eye because Grayson was gun hunting, didn't know when he was gonna pull the trigger.
Yeah. And what state is this?
Yes,
This is Arkansas, right?
yeah, this is Arkansas. Yeah, during youth season. Let's see if can you see that deer?
Oh,
Yeah,
all right, Rompola. Good Lord.
yeah, that's a stud right there.
Jeez.
Yeah, 23 inches wide,
I need
and
something like that.
but yeah, and Jason was like, couldn't tell you what the other deer looked like. He said, I never took my eyes off of it.
Yeah.
But that deer come in, stayed downwind, and then kind of just walked around a big treetop. But what I was telling you back to that pop up blind, Jason just carried it in there and just got next to a big tree, flopped the thing out,
Mm.
set it up, and faced the direction that me and Beckett had seen the deer. Really kind of knew what he had done. It's not like Jason hasn't. Jason's the big deer killer in the family. He kills all the big ones, but he knew, from hunting it last year with Grayson, kind of which way they were. They got boogered up last year and had a couple of nice bucks get by. Uh, Grayson just couldn't get on them, so they were ready this year, and it paid off with that big dude. So
Yeah, apparently.
yeah. So
That's
we got to
nuts.
we got to drag one out, and it scored 118, but it was still 23 inches wide. That's going to be hard to beat. So I
Yeah, dude,
think
a
we
deer like
found
that. I
yeah.
mean,
And the
you can
big
see the one
other
back
than that,
here.
like 19 and a quarter is the widest. We found a deadhead shed hunting one year, 5 or 6 years ago, and it went 19 and a quarter. And
Yeah.
I think that's Well, yeah, because I think the one he killed was like right at 19. So yeah, that year he killed the 164-inch deer. He killed one that I don't know what it was like 140 something, but it was 20 inches wide, so or 19, right at
God
19
dang,
inches wide.
dude.
But
That's
yeah, he had a
insane.
good year that year. So
Well, I mean, deer like that are just cool. I mean, like the one behind me has got 6 brow tines. He doesn't score over one. I think he's like 102 and 4/8, but he's a
don't
cool
matter, man.
deer,
That's character. All that character. Yep.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing is like I think the problem is too. I went into this season really wanting like my goal, and it's probably I'm not going to blame Clifton for it, but I did have him on the podcast like a little bit right before, and we're talking Pope and Youngs and like how to find him and all this other stuff. I got in my head, I was like, you know what? I'm only going to shoot a Pope and Young this year, and I got humbled quick, like
Yeah,
really
no, yeah.
quick.
Not said. Now you may have them on there. It's going to be hard for you to do. You're going to have to hunt every day for. If you
Yeah,
hunted every day for 2 weeks straight, you took 2 weeks of vacation, which you being a family man, that's not going to happen because
no,
you've got
no,
too many more priorities than deer hunting.
yeah,
But if you had 8 to 10, 14 days to hunt on those little tracts of ground, you'd probably get lucky and poke one when he come through. But
yeah,
with something like that, if you're not hunting a big tract of ground like White and Saw or somewhere up in Kansas public land or
hmm
Missouri or somewhere like that, it's going to be really hard for Arkansas has 3 million acres of public land that you can hunt.
Oh,
You
dude,
can go find a Pope and Young. All you have to do is put in the sweat equity. You got to find,
hmm
you put your boots on the ground, you can find one. So it's but that's the difference between Clifton and a lot of guys. Clifton's going to get out there, and I mean, I know for a fact the dude walked 26 miles before he hung his first deer stand. I mean, 26
dude,
miles of scouting on a out of state hunt. So I mean, most guys are like, I want to spend as much time in the tree as I can, but
yeah.
you're hanging and hoping. Why not go find him and then hunt him? So and that's that mentality. I think a lot of guys don't do. They
Yeah. Well, and that was
they
my
go and they
plan.
they hang up on the first set of sign they find
Yeah.
and hope that 110 is a 150 when you go out there and find the 150s.
Yeah. I
It,
mean, I'd be happy with a 110. That'd still be my biggest. But I was planning on doing um the Clifton method is what I call it. It's just walk. And once you
yep.
find like the best spot set up in it. Problem is, man, I just, I missed out on I guess my opportunity for that this year because, this new spot where I was telling you I've got those 6 shooters, it's just you go in there and it's rubs everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And so at face value, and then knowing a guy that's killed a 120-inch deer over there, which for Georgia, I mean that's a respectable deer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that he's killed a 130-inch deer over there, and he's had even bigger than that, and it's like, dude, I was just like, man, you know what? I'm gonna go here. I'm not hitting public. What I should have done though, at least in hindsight, I probably should have at least gone over there once and done what I had been planning the entire season.
Can you
Because
not scout now? Can you scout now on the public ground?
after this, well, no, I have to wait till December because this specific WMA has a quota hunt at
Oh,
the
open and
beginning of
closed.
November, and then they've got the archery hunt, which was this past weekend. They have another quota hunt this weekend. They have one or two specialty hunts, either beginning of December or the end of November. And then after that, it's completely closed. So once it's completely closed, I will be in there. I honestly, though, I might wait a little bit till like February, probably. That way I can go shed hunting and all that stuff. Um, but see, I kind of had a sour taste in my mouth because I had 2 of my cameras stolen in that public land this year in my honey hole spot that I've seen
Hmm.
some of the biggest deer I've ever had on camera. And so I went up there to pull a camera and then put batteries in one, and sure enough, man, they're both gone.
Yeah.
I finally was just kind of like, you know what? I've tried to go here. The day that we were supposed to do this podcast, Halloween,
Oh,
I
yeah.
was there. I went to this spot. I bet you my cameras were probably still there. Because they had just sent a photo, I think, that day. But yeah, man, I showed up and then that flat tire started hissing, and I'm like, well, I needed, it was in my work van, so like I had to go get it fixed.
Right.
And then so that stopped me from going to scout. And then a couple weeks later, I know, was it? No, it was last week. last week I got off early enough, went up there to pull camera cards, and other cameras I've got, and the trail was closed because they had a specialty hunt going, and I had no idea. And I was like, dude, I just looked up. I was like, are you trying to tell me I shouldn't do this? Like, should I not go to public land this year? And
Yeah,
so I
don't
just
go
took
there.
it as, hey, you've got other places to be. So I don't know,
And how
man.
many tags? Y'all get one or two bucks?
For like state tags,
Yeah.
yeah, we get two
How
buck
many
tags,
bucks can you kill?
two.
Two. Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
Same.
$2, 10 does.
Oh, 10 doe. Wow.
I'll never do that. I mean, I could. I do that lake spot. There's plenty of them, and they're very easy to pull in. But yeah, we're spoiled here, man. I'm telling you.
Hmm.
I'm telling you. But see, y'all. So I don't know if you've heard of him, but I got my buddy Justin. He's got like this Instagram, TikTok page, the Degenerate Deer Hunter. He's
Hmm.
in Arkansas, and he's got
Okay.
some giants on camera. So like y'all Arkansas boys, man, I'm telling y'all got something in that soil.
We can grow them big here. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild out there. And I mean, hey, using camo dust, they won't smell you, right?
Absolutely. That's right. That's right.
Awesome, man. Well, look, Chris, I before we wrap this up, man, I want to get an update on like really what y'all season has looked like so far, and then if we can sort of do a shameless plug for Camo Dust and maybe where we're going to start seeing it more.
Mhm.
One thing that has blown my mind is that I know how good it is, you know how good it is. I'm pushing it with everybody that I know. They're all being stubborn, and I've even said, I'm like, look, I'll give you a can, right? I've only got two left. I'll give you one of mine because I want you to try it, and they won't do it. I don't know why. I don't know why, but
Man, it's because I use the stuff that's already out there on Walmart shelves. So
mhm.
I've you hear snake oil all the time. I know what I've got. Everybody that uses it knows what it is about. So, it's a matter of time before it's the biggest thing out there. I'm here for the long haul. We're in it for the long haul. So we're gonna keep pushing to the small bow shops, and eventually we'll be in every single one of them. Guys like you will say, "Hey, can you put it in this bow shop?" Yep, we'll give them a call and stick it in there. Uh, Season has been great. We're growing. We grow every single year. I think we started in 2018, started back up with Camo Dust, and I think we've doubled sales every single year since then. So since the very first year, 2018, we were internet sales only. Weren't in any dealers or anything like that, and we have continued to just double in sales. So we're continuously adding dealers. I am probably behind on the Facebook page. The website is most definitely behind on listing all the dealers, but as soon as I get a new dealer, I try to add it to the Facebook page where if somebody comes across it, they can see where it's at. We're in about 90 stores right now, so in I think 18 different states. So
Wow.
we're growing. I've shipped to every single state. I have shipped a can of Camo Dust to every single state in the union now. So all 50 of them have a can of Camo Dust. Hawaii included. Hawaii was my last one.
Holy
So
crap.
yep,
Really?
absolutely, yep. So yep, shipped it to Oahu. So
Dang.
they're
Okay.
shooting cows or pigs or they pig hunt
Axis
over there.
gear.
So yep, they do. I mean, they do that.
That's
So there's
crazy.
a fellow over there that hopefully I'll get pictures of some stuff with in Hawaii with Camo Dust cans,
Yeah.
but South Africa, Canada, New Zealand, uh,
Hmm.
Poland, anywhere that people go. Yeah,
Poland.
Poland. They're big hunting in Poland too. Yeah, they got red stag.
Really?
Yeah, I think fallow, red stag, uh, deer, hog hunting's really big in Poland. So yeah,
Wow.
you learn crazy stuff when people call and say, "Hey, I'm doing this," or "I live here and I want to do this," or
Yeah.
the guys in South Africa. We have a bunch of uh, migrant workers, I guess is that what you call them? They come from South Africa to work
Oh,
in the summer
yeah.
on farms here in Arkansas, and great guys. And then they all hunt just like us. They're all just like us, and they just live in Africa, which is a thousand. I don't know. It's pretty awesome to be able to go shoot a kudu or something like that with
Dude.
Cape
I'm scared of
buffalo,
Africa.
and
I
yeah,
uh-uh. I'll
yeah,
never I'll never go. I don't want to get carried off by a mosquito.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. It's a dream for me. It's going to happen one of these days. So I've got a buddy that's over there right now that is begging me to come over. But
That's crazy. I
yeah,
can't believe Poland. Like that. I need to figure out like if I've got family over there because I'm Polish. I need to figure out if any of my family is still there and be like, hey, look, I need to make a trip back to the
family
motherland. All right.
reunion, right? Go
Yeah,
kill
like if
a
you got
hog and
fallow deer and red stack, look, brother, I will go. Okay, I will go. Like I'll throw on their Polish accent and everything. You want to give
there
me
you go.
kolaczkis and the weird meat breads? I'll eat it. I don't care.
Yep,
Like
yep,
that's wild. I didn't know they
yep.
had all that over there.
It's man, I've learned so much stuff. I've talked to so many people. I've heard success stories from all over the world. It's easy for me to speak with confidence because I live vicariously through everybody that's ever used a can of Camo Dust. So,
Yeah.
when they call and they say, man, this stuff is unbelievable, I know what I do to be successful and not get busted. But for all these people that call me, or shoot me a text or send me a message or something like that where they're, saying, hey, thanks for this, fan. It's a great product. Thank you. Just a thank you. That's what makes it uh it's special is when those
Yeah.
guys call and they say, "Man, thanks for putting out a quality product that actually does what it says it's going to do." So,
Yeah. I
and we
mean,
take pride in that.
excuse me.
We want to make sure we put it out, and every single person that gets a can is going to get a can that's had a batch that we know is going to be the best stuff out there. So,
Yeah. Well, that's why I've been pushing
eventually,
it for
one of
like
these
the past
days,
year because
do what?
it's so good. I said that's why I've been
Yeah,
pushing it for like the past year
yeah,
because it's like, dude, I mean, I put in the intro every single time and I'm like, listen, I know what you guys are going to think. Okay. You can't beat a deer's nose. I'm here to tell you I have done it multiple times and only
yeah.
with this stuff. And I just,
I don't know. I don't know what they say when they say you can't beat a deer's nose. You can't fool it, you can't beat it. I can fool it. I might not be able to beat it. It may be able to smell you,
but it
but
might think you're 500
it's
yards the other
it.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do exactly what I say I'm gonna do. I take the fear and flight completely out of that. That deer may know you're there, but he's not scared.
Yeah.
You walk out there with cologne on, and you climb a tree, and you have a deer walk 15 yards downwind and watch him turn inside out to leave. He's, once he gets in your scent cone and
Mm-hmm.
gets directly downwind, he's going to turn inside out to leave, to get out of there. Buck or doe, it doesn't matter. And then, do the same thing with Camo Dust and watch them walk, just continuously walk downwind. They
Mm-hmm.
may throw their nose up. I always like to say that's their very first breath of fresh air that they ever got. It's just, it's funny. They throw that nose up, they lick their nose, and they're like, and then they move on. They start doing
Yeah.
it. So,
I had multiple deer do that with me this year on that 1 acre piece.
mm-hmm.
Now, I got a little nervous. I'm not going to lie. Cause like they're 20, maybe 15, 20 yards away. And I see them do that, put their nose up and start licking and stuff. And I'm just like,
And man, I've
I'm
had
like, what
so
are you
many,
doing?
I've had so many pick me out. When I get busted, it's because I move. I move too fast, or
So do I. Yeah.
I'll forget that they can still see me because I 100% teetotally believe without a shadow of doubt that they cannot smell me.
Yeah.
I've
And
already beat their number one defense mechanism,
mm-hmm.
and I get a little careless, and I'll move too fast, or I'll bump my stand, or I'll make racket. But man, I can tell you, like they'll look, and then you're like, so it aggravates me because now I've got 8 to 10 minutes of this heifer walking around trying to smell me, looking up,
Yeah.
eyeballing me, trying to get downwind of me, throwing her nose up. Then
Trying to figure out what you are.
the other three that didn't hear it or didn't see me move, they're still feeding. And then they're
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, what is your deal? And then she's aggravated because she can't pick me out. And then I know she's not going to, so let her get down, hurry up, get downwind if she's not already downwind. If she's downwind, she'll go out there 15 or 20 yards, walk back and forth and try to smell me, and then work her way in right to my tree and try to smell me. And I have to sit there and be really still that whole time because she's got her eyeballs on me. But, it's just
I'm sorry to cut you off. You made me think of a situation that I actually went through earlier this year. It was the only time I got busted. You had me remember this actually, it's the doe that I shot last year, and she survived. The arrow broke, whole story. But she's old, like old, like smart old. And this doe had been pretty much in front of me. I went to draw back, and then of course, because I'm basically on like my father-in-law's dad's property, and the house is 20 yards behind me, or well, basically it's right behind me.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, my in-laws leave and it spooks the deer, whatever. Well, I watch her go, and I didn't realize that she had actually gone into the thick stuff, so I didn't see her. Her leg blended in with the small trees, right? So I'm like, all right, well, she's up, whatever. I had to pee, so I take care of my business out of the tree stand. I dust back down. As I'm dusting down, the wind blows towards where she was, and I literally watched the dust go directly to her. And I saw her stick her nose up. And I wanted to ask you, you've caught a nose full of the dust before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you think that that would freak her out? Because I know my nose burned the first time I fully inhaled it. Do you think that like when that dust went down and she just took a big whiff of it, that it might have burnt her nose and that's why she was blowing at me?
I don't know. Did
Because
she
it was the weirdest thing.
did she just blow and get out of there? You made her
No.
sneeze? Are you sure she didn't sneeze?
Oh no, she
Because when I
she
get
was
it in my
blowing.
nose,
She
I
was
sneeze.
definitely
Huh,
blowing. Yeah,
I
it was
don't
just
know.
weird, man. Because I thought of that. I'm like, there's no way. Because I mean, it doesn't smell like anything,
Yeah, no.
at least to me. But I'm
Uh-uh.
like, how did she? She had to have just took a big whiff, and maybe she did sneeze and it freaked her out, and she's like, "What was that?" and starts blowing at it.
Right.
I don't know, but she blew for like
But you
10
know, it could
minutes.
be, yeah. I mean, I don't know if y'all have used like a nose jammer or something like
Hmm.
that down there and spooked her at some point, and then she something you know affected her nose, and she just associated with danger and got out of there. That's
Could have.
why that's why you have to that's if it smells or something like ozone has an odor. If I can smell it, I know a deer can smell it. It's not natural.
Hmm.
Nose jammer. Now I'm not saying I'm just saying that's one of the negatives that I see. And
Yeah.
people you're going to be successful using it. But like in your situation, if somebody has used no jammer, or and then there another one that messes their scent up or something,
Yeah.
scent thief or something like that. Uh,
I don't
yeah,
remember.
either which way, it doesn't matter. If somebody spooked her and something has affected her, she's just alerted that with danger. So I mean, they're still a dumb billy goat, but they do remember that kind of stuff. That's one of their safety mechanisms, right? They don't forget
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So she may associated that with like, hey, what was that?
Hmm.
That clean air smell with just all of a sudden she may have seen you powdering down. She knows you peed right there. She sit there and watched you pee, and then all of a
Well,
sudden you had
yeah.
a big pile of dust come down through there, and like, whoa, like he disappeared. That dude disappeared. Where did he go? And
Yeah.
she just knows it's not right, so she gets out of there. I don't know. I would stick an arrow in her just because she blew at me the next time I seen her.
Dude, I listen, let me tell you what. So my wife loves eating deer meat, but she's very sympathetic with these deer. And she told me at the beginning of this season, because I said to her, I was like, listen, if that doe comes back, because she obviously was around all summer long. I
Mm-hmm.
knew that the deer, I knew what deer were in there. I named one Vicky because every time I put food out, she'd come running out and just stare at me and kind of just not care I was there, start feeding. I could walk up to her if I tried.
Mm.
But then, of course, she'd run off a bit and turn around and kind of flick her tail and be like, nah, not that's too close. Right. So my wife named this big old doe Mary. And I couldn't figure out why. So I was like, why'd you name her Mary? And she was like, cuz you shot her, you put a hole in her. She's a holy doe, Mary. She's like, and so I say, I'm like, isn't that borderline blasphemy? And she goes, only if you kill her. She's like, so don't kill her. I'm like, come on, dude. I'm like, she's the
I'm,
biggest doe there. Why you got
I'm
to do that
stabbing
to
her.
me? So if I
Yeah,
do end up shooting her, I'll just tell her she disappeared. I don't know what happened to her.
yeah.
I won't
That's
bring her
not fair.
home. That'd be a bad day, and I'll repent for it and ask for forgiveness later if I need to.
There you go.
But yeah, man, it's been a wild season. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I know Camo Dust will get me through it. It out of everything I use, honestly, Camo Dust and Osseo. I said it to Joe Miles. I'll say it to you. That those two together, it's a deadly combination because they cannot see you or maybe they can see you, but they just think you're a big ass owl in the tree, and they cannot smell you. And I know that for a fact, or they at least don't think you're right there.
Right.
So,
Yep.
I don't know. Anyone listening, if they want to try both out, I mean, Ryan from Scout Tech, he uses Camo Dust, he uses Osseo, he's been doing great.
Yep.
I don't know, man. I whatever, like I said last time, whatever little magic pixie dust you guys put in this stuff, keep doing it because it's awesome.
We're gonna keep doing it. Yep. Tell them that camodust.com, www.camodust.com. Pick you up a couple of cans or a 6-pack, and if you get the order in before 2 p.m. Central, it'll go out same day. So we pride ourselves on being quick. Now, Friday at 4 o'clock when I ship, I'm not coming back in until Monday. So
yeah,
those weekend orders are going to sit there, but definitely get them in because they're going to go out first thing Monday. So
yeah, and you guys are really good on that too. I remember when I got my 6-pack, it was there within 3-4 days. I mean, it was fast. It was really fast.
I used to say, I would tell people, like, man, I would send it to Maine and it'd get there in 2 days. We've kind of slowed down a little bit with the Postal Service. Of course, it is the busy season. So, you've got to cut them some slack. So, but a couple of packages have taken a little longer than what I would feel comfortable with. Guys trying to get another 6-pack in before they go on a trip, and they don't put their order in until, Monday. They want to leave on Friday, but luckily we've made it on most of them. So
yeah, well, everything you guys do works. Everything y'all do, I feel like your customer service for sure is definitely top notch. So keep doing whatever you guys are doing, man. It's working. And
we're trying.
I'm telling you, one of these days, I hope to see Camo Dust with Bone Collector or Seek One or any of these guys, because I think once that happens, y'all are going to need a much bigger warehouse, and you're going to need a ton of trucks because everyone's going to be buying it. All these other companies are going to hate y'all or be like, hey, how can we make our own like that? I mean, I could see Nose Jammer coming out with like a vanilla dust or something, which I'm not trying to dig at Nose Jammer, but
yeah,
I've had my only gripe with Nose Jammer, and I'll end it with this. Nose Jammer is a great product. It's a great company. I don't know anybody over there, but I'm sure they're good people. Seems to work fine. The only problem is it attracts more yellow jackets than deer, and I don't mess with that. I do not like flying stinging animals. I'm good. So that's my only problem with it. If I spray down on that and it's early season, I'm basically falling out of the tree, and I won't see a deer because I'm doing all this crazy stuff. So
no, I have no problem. I don't think I have a competitor out there. The way I view it, in the scent industry, you have the liquids that are over here, and then you have Camo Dust that is over here. So, you've got all your liquids and your sprays and stuff like that. And then you've got us that's dry. We're the only dry out there. So, I mean, there's room for all of us. I mean, early season guys want to spray. They don't want to, eventually guys will, there's a ton of people out there that have never heard of Camo Dust. So, just if you're out there listening and you've used it, tell your buddies, tell everybody, you've got to tell people about it. A lot of guys, what I'm finding is they're in a hunting club or a hunting lease, and they might have anywhere from 5 to 55 members. They don't want anybody to know their secret. Camo Dust is still at the stage where it's a secret, so the guys that are using it have a little bit of advantage over their buddies, and they're, I have no problem with that. We're going to be here, until everybody knows about it. And when everybody knows about it, we'll be in every store and be easy to get, and everybody can kill deer. So, or big deer.
It, man. I love it. That's a perfect way to end this episode. Everybody can kill deer with Camo Dust. I love it. Right. That needs to be on a can.
That's right.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for coming on. Really good episode. I'm sorry it's been a hassle to make this happen. I mean, it's good things come to those who wait, and I feel like the wait was definitely worth it. So,
good, man.
Awesome, man. Well, yeah, everybody that's listening, go and check them out on Instagram. Go to their website, get you a 6-pack so you don't buy, 1 or 2 cans every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks or whatever. You can. I'm sure Chris won't complain, but
I'll keep sending them out.
Yeah, but awesome, dude. Well, we will definitely do this again, and it will not be a year till the next one. I promise that.
Sounds good, bro.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, man. Thank you. See you.